Okay, last video, video 11 from part 3, material design and other setup for the Flickr browser. So let's go through and finish off the Flickr browser. Okay, so now that we've got our view set up, our layout I should say, let's go back to our view photo details activity, and let's start populating some of that data that's in the layout. So first things first, we're going to retrieve the text view, text view, and we'll call that photo title equals text view. And I'm sure you've seen this before, we've done this countless times in the past. Find view by ID, and of course it's going to be r.id photo underscore title from the layout. And we want to do title.setText, and I'm going to go with something simple like title plus photo dot get title. Okay, so that's the title done. Now I'll make a bit of space here just so it's a little bit more readable. I like spacing things up. Text view photo tags equals text view find view by ID r.id.photo tags, and of course we want to put photo tags dot set text. We're going to put tags plus photo dot get tags. Okay, so that's 2 done. Next thing, the author. We're going to put text view photo author equals text view find view by ID r.id photo author, and of course photo author dot set text, and we won't put anything there. We're just going to put the just the author only. So photo dot get author. Okay, and lastly we've got our image. So our image should be stored in our image object, in our link object I should say. So we're going to put image view, and we'll call it photo image equals image view find view, and of course it's r.id.photo image. Now we're going to use Picasso again, which we've used previously. Dot with this dot load photo dot get link. That's the link to the extended photo URL. With dot error, we're going to replace it with r.drawable dot placeholder dot placeholder, which of course we know we've done that anyway in the layout, but it needs something here as well, so we're going to put it in there as well, placeholder. And of course important line dot into our photo image. So Picasso will now download that image and put that into our image view, which of course will show on the screen. Okay, so that's it. That's all the code. So at this point we should be able to run it, so let's see what happens. Okay, and we can go back. I've closed the other emulator off now to make it easier. Okay, we've got one, and I can now do a quick tap still, left tap, normal tap, but if I hold down my button now, so what's happened? We've got a couple of things here that aren't working properly. We've got our author not centered, and we've got an image that doesn't seem to have downloaded okay. We've got the title and the tags, but there's no space. We need to have some padding obviously under the last field to give us a bit of a gap there. You can see that the 8 DPs on the left hand side has worked, and on the right hand side, so we've got that gap there. But a couple of things we need to fix. But firstly, before we look at the formatting, why isn't the image working? That's probably a good question to ask. It turns out there was actually a problem with that link. So to find out, what we need to do is just to open up our monitor. Then we just need to get one of the links just to show you on screen what it looks like. Go into Logcat. And we should have one of the links here. I'm just going to choose this one and just double click it. Oh, sorry, right click it and filter. So if we're scrolling down, if you remember, so what I'll do just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to take a copy of that whole screen, all the data, go into text and paste it in there. Now, if you remember, we've got a couple of variables, but we've got the image. But it turns out the link that we've got, if we take a copy of the contents of our variable link and copy that and go to a browser, paste that in, what we get is not a single photo, but we get sort of like a slideshow type thing that we can access. And you can actually go click on left to right and do other sorts of things, but it's not the photo object as such. So the photo object is correctly stored in this file here, in our image. And of course, we've used that before in the thumbnail, so we know that that's working. So I'll take a copy of that and have a look. Paste that in. That works fine. But that is quite a small image, as you can see, compared to this one, which was much larger. But it turns out, after a bit of investigation, what we can do is Flickr actually add a couple of bits of information to the end of each object, end of each photo. So we've got _M, which is sort of like a 240 by 120, as you can see there. But we can change that. We can change that to a B. And we can get a much larger one. In this case, it's now 800 by 399 pixel. So essentially, all we need to do is basically access our thumbnail image and look for the _M and change that with _B and put that value in our link. Once we do that, we should find that Picasa will be able to find the image and download it. So to do that, going back to our code again, we need to go back into our, all the way back into our process result in our get Flickr JSON data, which was, I don't know how many videos ago. And if we scroll down and have a look, remember this code here, and that's the option at the moment. So it's getting the Flickr link. If you recall, it got it from a particular part of the JSON XML. So we need to take that out. And what we need to do is now look after the photo URL, and remember we need to replace the _M, which is always the case. The thumbnail always comes through with an _M, and we need to replace that with a B. So to do that, we're going to do string link equals photo URL dot replace first, because you only want to do this once. We're going to say we're looking for _M dot, just to make sure that we're in the right spot. And we're going to replace that with _B dot. And that's literally it. So once we do that, we should get the right data, and we'll just confirm that. We'll run that again. And once we load our emulator, we should find this time it will return the image. So I'm going to click on something, and bingo, you can see how that's worked. And notice how the view, the card view resized itself. So it didn't know, of course, while it was loading, how big the final image was going to be. So it went away and sized a basic card view, which was the size of the photo, essentially the photo placeholder. We'll try a few other photos. So we go to this one. It does depend on the image as to how far it's going to go across. Okay, so we now need to center the author. Make sure that's centered in the middle there, and we also need to add some spacing underneath here, so there's a bit of a gap. So let's do that next. Okay, so I think with the padding, I know what I've done there. I made a bit of a mistake. I'm going to go into photo details, and what I think I did in the card view, the padding bottom, paddings aren't appropriate for a card view. We need to use something called content padding. So to do that, we need to do a Flickr and padding. It'll be content padding. Top and bottom are the two we want. Top equals 16 dp, and likewise for bottom. Flickr content padding, again, this is because it's a card view, equals 16 dp. So let's just try running that first and see what that does. Okay, we've got the spacing now working. We've only got an issue now with this author. Okay, the penny drops now with this other one, the other change. And what I've done is I have specified match parent. So in other words, I've said use the entire width no matter what. So of course what I should be doing, because I want to center this within this area, I should be using wrap content for the width as well as for the height. So we'll wrap content. And that should now work. Oops, sorry, I was in the wrong spot there. Okay, so I'll go to the right one. The one here, match, see how that's match parent? That should be wrap content. Okay, so we run that again, and we should have that now centered. Okay, and we'll just try the same one first, and there we go, that's now centered in the view. It's not the best photo for seeing that. And we could probably play around with the padding and so forth, or the margins to get that a bit higher, but I won't worry about that now. What I will do is try and download a bigger photo. Okay, that's not so bad. You can see that's fitting quite nicely on the image, but let's see if we can find a bigger photo. And it could be a bit of a chance to try and find one that we think is going to be big. To try a few times. It may take us a while. What I'll do is do it something another way, and I just want to show you another issue that could come up is when we go into landscape mode. So I'm going to change the device so it's in landscape mode, and what's happened with the title and the tags? Well, they're off the screen. So what we really need to do to get this to work properly is we need to add a scroll view so that if the photo is too big for the device's screen, depending on what we're running on, we can scroll down. And that applies whether we're running in portrait as well if we happen to get a photo that's large enough. So I'm just going to change this back to our orientation. And what we'll try and do is see if we can find another bigger photo, and I'll just make that so it's not quite as wide and fits a bit better. Bearing in mind that I am running on a relatively small screen here to fit this app. This is the actual screen I'm recording on. So the quality of that looks a little bit degraded. It looks much better. It'll look much better on your device. Just want to see if I can find a bigger image. Try that one. It's a normal tab. We'll try a big one. No, it does look like we're going to see one. But anyway, what we need to do is we need to add a scroll view. So that will fix that problem of the landscape nicely, and it will also help if we're scrolling with a large photo in portrait mode. And we obviously want to make sure our apps work on as many devices as possible. So adding a scroll view so that the user can scroll if the information doesn't fit on the one screen is actually very easy. So what we really need to do is wrap the entire contents of what we've done here in a scroll view. That's really all we need to do, and then Android will do the rest for us. So I'm going to do a scroll view. I'm going to copy these things that are in here. Then the layout, we're going to copy the layout as well, and we're going to just go for the match parent for both of them. And we're just going to add the tools context that was in the linear layout to the scroll view because it's sort of the major or the main or the first sort of view that's wrapping everything else. So I'm going to do that. And we'll add the scroll view in a second. So now if we go back up here, linear layout, and now if we go to the bottom, we should be able to do / scroll view and Command Alt L. And what we've now got, we've got a scroll view at the top, and all our other content is now within the scroll view. So that should mean that when we go to run, if the information doesn't fit on the screen, it should enable us to scroll. And this will work on a physical device as well as the emulator. So I'm going to see if I can find another photo. I'll just choose that one for now. Let's try and put it in landscape. It just so happened that that one fitted. There's nothing that we did to fix that. And notice how the app is working quite nicely in landscape mode as well. Okay, there's a bigger image. Wait till it downloads. And now you should be able to scroll. You can see the scroll bars briefly there as we scroll up and down so we can see the entire content. So again, if we go back to our, oops, I just need to make this a bit bigger so I can see the, there it is. Okay, then I'll go back to the size that it was. And still fitting. So I might just do a quick few searches now just to see whether we can happen to find some bigger pictures. So I'm going to do something like international soccer and see whether we can happen to find a big photo somewhere. We'll try this one. Okay, no. These photos look to be all around about the same size. So it's just going to be the luck of the draw. Whoops, I clicked the wrong. I held the mouse button down then, and obviously that was treated as a long click. Did you see that happen? And these all look like they're probably from the same person who's just uploaded a heap of photos. Yep, we can see our app is obviously working quite nicely, but let's try something else. We'll put car racing. We're just really looking for a really big photo that someone's uploaded in a big resolution just to make sure that it's all working. So I'm trying to find a photo that would sort of scroll, so it's quite a long sort of portrait one, just to make sure it would work all right. It would scroll all right in portrait mode, but there's no reason why it won't, but just would be good to see that. And you can see by these numbers that have obviously come straight from a camera. Okay, look, I won't spend any more time on that now. Okay, at this point, we're actually done. So we've managed to get this all working. So what have we done? Well, we've come all the way back from part 1 of the Flickr browser, where we downloaded the JSON data, we parsed the data, then we built a very primitive, basic interface using RecyclerView, and of course we've expanded on that quite dramatically now, and we've added the ability to view our photos, as well as just prettying up the interface using Material Design. So I hope you've got a lot out of this, learned a lot about Material Design and some of the other concepts that we looked at with searching and so forth. And we'll see you in the next video when we start the next app.